Now let's begin with the short but a very important topic that we have when it comes to the vacutainers, hematology or blood banking in general. So quickly, let's go through all the vacutainers and the colors that are important for all of you for the exam. So first and foremost, please note this entire list of vacutainers that I've got for you over here. These are defined as the EDTA vacutainers. So the first question coming to everyone's mind is, EDTA vacutainers contain which kind of EDTA? So please note, they usually contain the powder form of EDTA, not the liquid form, because liquid form will basically end up diluting the blood. So I want a powder form. And the most common type of EDTA which works well for the blood is K2 EDTA. Dipotassium EDTA is the best form. So what all can you see? Which all vacutainers are coming under the EDTA? I can see that white, royal blue, pink, lavender and tan. These are the vacutainers. How will I learn this? That okay, these are the colors which come under EDTA. Very simple. So there is a white girl. There is a white girl who belongs to the royal family. There's a white girl who belongs to the royal family, and because she's very white, light skinned, so she wants to get a suntan. So she wants to go for a suntan. And what are girls' ka favorite color? Girls' ka favorite color is pink and purple. So her favorite colors are going to be pink and purple. Now, is it easy to learn the story of EDTA? The white princess belonging to the royal blue family. She's so white that she wants to get a suntan, and her favorite colors are pink and purple. All of these come under the EDTA vacutainer. So in which situation would you be using each one of these? So please note, out of these, the one that is said to be the bread and butter of a pathologist, of a laboratory, is the purple. Now purple ka different shades, lavender color, all of these stand for purple, and you will be doing all of your routine tests in it. Means, what are your routine tests? It could be a complete blood count, a peripheral smear, a reticulocyte count, and ESR done by Wintrobe. ESR is going to be 3 techniques. I will be telling you all 3 shortly. Please note, CBC, PS, reticulocyte count, ESR, jo normal things are done, they are all done in this purple vacutainer. After this, the same purple vacutainer and the pink vacutainer, they have nothing different in them. Same EDTA, same K2 EDTA. Then why have we given 2 different colors? Because the pink is girls' ka favorite color. Na? Pink usually it symbolizes girls and it symbolizes sensitivity. So you need to, address pink where you are dealing with the most sensitive and the most crucial part of your hospital, and that is a blood bank. So whenever a sample has to be sent for cross match to the blood bank, remember, for blood bank samples, you are going to use the pink vacutainer, because pink means it's a very crucial, sensitive and important part of your hospital. From a distance, you should be knowing that, okay, these are the samples that are going to a blood bank. Next, when do you use the royal blue vacutainer? Royal blue means royal, something, extraordinary, something very rare. So whenever you want to test for some rare trace elements, for example, copper, zinc, some royal trace elements, you use royal blue vacutainer. When do you use white? You know what was the name of this white girl? Pearly white. So Pearl is the name of this girl. Pearly white vacutainer is used for P for PCR. Pearly white vacutainer, as I said, pearly white vacutainer is used whenever you want to test or do studies in polymerase chain reaction. And finally, what is this tan vacutainer? So I have learned tin, tan, lead. Tin and lead, so tin lead or tin tan lead. Basically, when you're dealing with the case of lead poisoning, that is when you would want to use a tan vacutainer. So now the story is so nice. Firstly, you need to know which are the ones that contain EDTA. There was a white girl named Pearl. She belonged to the royal family. She wanted to get a skin tan, a sun tan done, and her favorite colors were pink and purple. Purple is going to be the bread and butter of a pathologist. All normal routine tests are done here. Tin, tan, lead, this is for lead poisoning. Pink is going to be very sensitive area of your blood bank, of your hospital, that is a blood bank. Royal blue is something rare, so all your trace elements will be tested here, and white is going to be pearly white for PCR. So now if I ask you that once you have collected blood in this vacutainer, how many times are you going to mix it? So if you've collected blood, if this is a vacutainer, you have collected blood, how many times are you going to mix it? So remember E for E. Once I have collected blood in EDTA, I am going to mix the blood 8 times. I am going to mix the blood 8 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bus. 8 times you mix it and you send it to the lab. That is the ideal protocol. So now if I ask you a question, which of the following is having EDTA as an anticoagulant? So remember your story. Is it going to be a white girl named Pearl? Yes. Are her favorite colors, pink and lavender? Are her favorite colors pink and lavender? Of course, yes. And is she gonna have a wish for getting a skin tan? Yes. So ultimately I realize all of these are going to be very, very important elements for EDTA. So this was a learning question, all of these. I ask you one more question on the basis of this. Which is the most preferred anticoagulant? You could see the purple Vacutainer in front of you, the purple or the lavender Vacutainer in front of you. And which one did I tell you is the most commonly or the preferred? K2 EDTA works well. And usually what? It is usually something that is kept in powder form. We don't prefer liquid form because liquid will dilute the blood, right? So powder form, simple. One Vacutainer is done. Now let's move on to the next Vacutainer, the one that contains heparin. So I can see two kind of green colors. Firstly, these are green Vacutainers because I have learned green. What is green in Hindi? Green is hara. So remember, hara is heparin. That is how I have learned it. Hara is heparin. Okay, hara Vacutainer is heparin Vacutainer. I can see a light green and a dark green. So how do you write it? Light green. The way you write light green, so you will realize that green for hara matlab heparin, green hara heparin, and Li for light green, that is lithium heparin. So light green is lithium heparin, whereas the way you write dark green, so remember green again, green hara heparin, it is definitely heparin, but Da for Na, so this is a sodium heparin. You'll remember what is light green, what is dark green, one is lithium heparin, one is sodium heparin. So lithium heparin is light green and sodium heparin is dark green. What do I use the green Vacutainer for? I use it for things like osmotic fragility testing, not very commonly done nowadays but important. I use it for osmotic fragility testing, I use it for immunophenotyping, and I use it for ABG, arterial blood gas analysis. Arterial blood gas analysis, very, very, very important. So IPT, OFT, IPT is immunophenotyping. Immunophenotyping matlab all the CD markers that you study, na, that is immunophenotyping. So osmotic fragility, immunophenotyping, and ABG. ABG is one of the uses which is still being used till date. Others are not very commonly used, but ABG analysis is still done in a heparinized vial. Now one more thing, if I ask you this kind of a question, the most preferred anticoagulant in the Vacutainer, sure, you could see a lot of hara. Hara means heparin. So what is your answer going to be? Your answer is going to be heparin over here. They would have asked you lithium or sodium, that also you could have answered. Now please note something for the Central Institute exams that I want to tell you. What is the kind of problems that you can face with heparinized blood? You'll say, ma'am, heparin is also an anticoagulant. EDTA was also an anticoagulant. Why have you given EDTA so much of importance? You're doing all your main tests in EDTA. Why are you not using heparin? Because two problems. Whenever I try to make a smear with heparinized blood, one thing that I see that the background of the smear becomes very, very blue. One problem. And second problem is there's a lot of platelet clumping that I notice. Repeating, the background of the smear becomes extremely blue. This entire background is going to look like this. The slide will look entirely blue, and then I will notice there will be platelet clumping. So again, my platelet count will come as erroneous, right? So that is one problem. I can't use it in day-to-day activity. Second problem is that it tends to inhibit the enzymes, and I know that I have to use so many enzymes in polymerase chain reaction. So can I use a heparinized blood for polymerase chain reaction? No. What do I use for polymerase chain reaction? EDTA. Which kind of EDTA? The pearly white EDTA is used for PCR. The pearly white EDTA wala was used for PCR, right? Everyone's understood why not heparinized blood in day-to-day life? Blue background, platelet clumping, inhibiting the enzyme, so it's not something which is preferred. Let's move on to the next Vacutainer, G for G. G for G means whenever they talk about a grey top Vacutainer, I am going to use it for glucose estimation. Any kind of, now before I get into this entire detail, any kind of glucose estimation, fasting blood sugar, postprandial blood sugar, random blood sugar, any challenge test, any tolerance test, glucose challenge, glucose tolerance, any kind of glucose wala test, I will put it in grey Vacutainer. But please remember, as soon as I say glycated hemoglobin, HbA1c, again that is also a glucose method, glycated or glycosylated, but that is related to testing the hemoglobin. What does it tell you? What does glycated hemoglobin tell you? The 3 monthly glucose control. That is estimated by utilizing hemoglobin. So for hemoglobin estimation and measuring the glucose with that, could I use just a grey vacutainer? No. Over here, I will use the purple, the lavender vacutainer. So I want to go back and add in that story that the purple or the lavender vacutainer is also used for HbA1c. So you should not get confused. HbA1c is a glucose measure, but better results are coming because ultimately you're measuring hemoglobin. So you were getting better results by collecting samples in purple vacutainer. So please remember, for everything else, you are going to mark for glucose the grey vacutainer, but for HbA1c, you will mark the purple vacutainer. So now let me ask you, what does this grey vacutainer have? Grey vacutainer has two things, and this you have to read very carefully. Mark my words, you have to read it very carefully in the paper. When I say anticoagulant, the anticoagulant is potassium oxalate. Anticoagulant is something that will not let the blood clot. That is potassium oxalate. But when I ask you what is the additive, that is sodium fluoride. Many students believe that sodium fluoride is the anticoagulant. No, sodium fluoride is just an additive. What is it doing? It is going to inhibit enolase. Why am I inhibiting enolase? Because this will not let glycolysis occur. Tell me something. At 6 o'clock in the morning, someone has told you that I want to get my fasting blood sugar done. At 6 o'clock in the morning, he's given you his fasting blood sugar ka sample. But you had to collect 100 samples in the ward, and then your sample reached the pathology lab at, say, from 6 o'clock, it reached at 8 o'clock. In 2 hours, don't you feel red blood cells will use up all this glucose? So if the glucose levels were initially 110, by the time it will reach the lab, the red blood cells will use it up, the levels will fall down to 90. You will feel that, oh, this is patient's blood glucose is 90. But actually his glucose was 110. So this is an error. So then I said, don't let anyone use glucose. Till the time the testing is done, don't let anyone use glucose. Inhibit glycolysis. For inhibiting glycolysis, I inhibited enolase. And for that, I added something called sodium fluoride. So please note, if they ask you what is the anticoagulant is potassium oxalate. If they ask you what is the additive is sodium fluoride. Very, very important. One more thing, when you collect the sample, how many times are you going to invert it? You're going to invert it 8 to 10 times. In everything, your inversion is going to be 8 to 10 times. I'll tell you where there's a difference, but abhi tak, in everything, the number of times you invert the vacutainer like this is going to be 8 to 10 times. So if I ask you this question, will you be extra cautious? If I ask you, what is the most preferred anticoagulant? Everyone has a possibility of saying grey vacutainer, sodium fluoride. But they didn't ask you additive, they asked you anticoagulant. What is your anticoagulant going to be? It is going to be potassium oxalate. If they would have asked me what is the additive, I would have marked sodium fluoride. No confusion going forward. Moving on to the next one. This is the vacutainer of threes. What do I mean by threes? It means firstly the anticoagulant is going to be trisodium citrate. It is a light blue color vacutainer. It is a light blue color vacutainer that we have. So firstly it is a tri. 3 matlab trisodium citrate. How much percentage of trisodium citrate does it have? Try again, 3.2%. Once I collect the blood, how many times am I going to invert it? Again, not 8 times. Here it's 3 times. That's why I said trisodium citrate, 3.2%. 3 times you're going to invert. Everything is 3. Now they will ask you, what is the anticoagulant to blood ratio that you have to consider? How much of anticoagulant will be there and how much of blood on top of it are you going to add? So please note that depends on what are you doing it for. You can use this vacutainer either for doing coagulation studies, matlab PT, APTT, those kind of studies, or you can use it for testing ESR by Westergren. So firstly, I want to ask you guys, ESR estimation was done by 2 tubes or 2 methods. One was a Wintrobe tube and one was a Westergren pipette. Do you guys remember this from your basic hematology? When I say Wintrobe mein you were doing what? Wintrobe mein you were doing it with the purple vacutainer, means you were doing it under EDTA. And now over here you are doing it with the light blue vacutainer, means you are using trisodium citrate. You're using trisodium citrate over here, right? So these are the 2 methods of ESR estimation and how they differ. So please remember, if you are using it for PT, APTT, you're going to use a different ratio. For Westergren, you will use a different ratio. So for PT, APTT, remember blood should be 9 times. Matlab, it is 1:9. Anticoagulant 1 time and the blood levels are 9 times. So please remember, for PT and APTT, P looks like a 9, na? So what is your blood to anticoagulant? Anticoagulant to blood ratio going to be anticoagulant 1 time and the blood is 9 times. Whereas when I'm talking about ESR ESR, especially by which method? By the Westergren method. It is going to be anticoagulant to blood is 1:4 times is what we take. So please note, this is about trisodium citrate. You'll say, ma'am, this means you are only focusing on coagulation study, PTA, PTT. No platelet study can be done in this. No. This is something that you do for the higher institute exams. If you want to test for the platelet function, you can use the CPAD, that is what you call it. CPAD means citrate, theophylline, adenosine and dipyridamole. CPAD tube can be used. That is just an additive. Apart from that trisodium citrate, you have added extra CPAD so that it can now be used for platelet function. I hope everyone's okay with this, understood this all together, because the story is not over. Right now I told you that ESR can be tested either by the Wintrobe method, or it can be tested by the Westergren method, or it can be tested by the machines. Now there's no time for all these tubes wala methods, automated. So when it is being tested by the Wintrobe method, which vacutainer were you using? You were using the purple vacutainer. Purple vacutainer matlab you were using EDTA. Whereas for Westergren, what is the anticoagulant that you use? Trisodium citrate. Even for automated, we use the same trisodium citrate, but the color is different. For Westergren, I was using the light blue vacutainer, whereas for automated, as you can see over here, for automated means this has to go into the machine. This tube, it's a thin tube, it's going to go into the machine. So what am I using? I am using a black cap vacutainer. That is very important information that you have to know when it comes to these three methods of estimating ESR. So obviously there is going to be a confusion in the exam somewhat, that which of them I'm doing in EDT and which of them I'm doing in trisodium citrate. So how I have learnt it is, all of these you're going to do in trisodium citrate, whether it is Westergren, whether it is automated. The only one that you do in EDTA is the one that ends with an E. Ab ho gaya simple? So simple. The Wintrobe's one is going to end in an E. So that is what you use as EDTA vacutainer. And for all the others, whether it is Westergren, whether it is automated, you use trisodium citrate. But just remember, the Westergren wala trisodium citrate is the usual blue one. And for automated, when you're talking about automated, please remember, the day automation came, and we always say, if chat GPT comes, or if all these automated AI things, artificial intelligence comes, it's going to be a black day for humans, because we are going to lose out on a lot of jobs and prospects. So automated turned out to be black day, right? Automated, not exactly. Automation has helped us also a lot, but just a way of learning. If automation comes into play, it's going to be a black day for doctors, right? So there is going to be all black vacutainers. So easy to learn. So Wintrobe E se hai, to EDTA purple, Westergren is trisodium citrate, automated is also trisodium citrate, but Westergren is going to be blue wala, and automated black day, that is going to be the black vacutainer. Now, till now, whatever I was teaching you, I was saying, don't let the blood clot, anticoagulant. Now I would want to go forward and say, please let the blood clot. Let it clot. Why am I saying please let the blood clot? Because I want to tell you that if the blood will clot, there will be something that will separate out of it, and that is the serum. So if, for example, if this is the vacutainer, if I say please let the blood clot like this, by saying so, I can say that what is going to separate out is going to be the serum. Because what kind of studies do I want to do? I want to do things like, you want to say, I want to do, ma'am, serum thyroid profile, serum T3, serum T4, serum TSH. You want to do other hormones like beta HCG. You want to do prolactin. You want to do LH, FSH, testosterone, free testosterone, or any kind of hormone profile on this planet. Any kind of enzymes. You say, ma'am, I think this is a patient of G6PD deficiency. I want to measure his G6PD levels. Okay, go and do it with the serum. You want to measure serum urea, serum creatinine, serum ALT, AST, GGT. So many things are there. So liver function test, kidney function test. All of these hormones, enzymes and serum tested, and for them I need serum. This means please let the blood clot. Don't add any anticoagulant. Let it clot. So what are all of them? We have a red vacutainer and a yellow, golden yellow vacutainer. So please remember, in the red vacutainer, the clotting time is going to be what? 60 minutes. And in the yellow vacutainer, it is going to be 30 minutes. Why is that so? Because I realized that in the red vacutainer you have something. I'll show you this. See, ye dekho, ye hai red vacutainer, and just focus on this one. This is going to be the golden yellow vacutainer that I'm talking about. So both of them have something called a clot activator. We have added some clot activator in it so that blood clot will happen. But this is going to take 60 minutes and this is going to take only 30 minutes. Why? Because in this I have added something extra. I have added an additional gel that is going to make the clotting even faster. So please note that both of them have a clot activator which will help the blood to clot, but the yellow vacutainer is making the blood clot faster because it has an additional thing called gel in it. Please note, guys, that many people believe that, what are they known as? They are known as plain vials. इनको ना very easily we call it plain vials because they say अरे anticoagulant is not added, there is no EDTA, no heparin, no trisodium citrate, no potassium oxalate, nothing. There is nothing added. These are plain vials. Are they actually plain? No, they have clot activators in it. They have clot activators. The yellow one even has gel in it. So if you collect blood in it, are you going to just leave it like this or are you going to mix it? Of course, and we have all, I consider myself guilty of this as well. Even I have done this mistake in my internship. We were not aware. We said, acha, ye plain hai. If I collect blood in it, what will I mix it with? Let me just collect the blood and keep this on the side. Even in these, when you collect the blood 5 to 6 times, you are supposed to invert it. Why? Because you want it to mix with the clot activator. Okay, then there's a very, very bright yellow wala, which only for the Central Institute exams I would want you to know. There is a bright yellow vacutainer which has ACD, acid citrate dextrose. If you remember the same thing you were using in blood banking, acid citrate dextrose. This is something you will use for HLA typing and paternity testing. HLA typing and paternity testing is what you would be using it for. Okay, now you say that, ma'am, fine, you told me that I can have clotting in 60 minutes, I can have clotting in 30 minutes, but I want clotting in 5 minutes. What should I do? Then there's a vacutainer which is not very commonly used, but please note that when I'm talking about orange, remember it has how many alphabets in it? It has approximately 5 to 6 alphabets in it. So if you want the clotting time to be within 5 minutes and you can have how many inversions? Why 5 hai? That is going to be why? Because it contains thrombin. Now thrombin is going to make the clot, thrombin is going to activate clot formation. So thrombin will make the clot formation happen very, very quickly. So 5 minutes, 5 inversions. Orange color also has 5, 6 in it only. 5, 6 alphabets wala orange, 5, 6 minutes ka duration, 5, 6 as the inversions. Everything 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 6. Repeating 5, 6 alphabets means orange vacutainer. 5, 6 is the time taken for blood to clot. 5, 6 times is how you will invert the tube. And what does it contain? It contains thrombin. So now tell me, guys, if I ask you which of the following vacutainers reduces the clotting time to 5 minutes, you will say 5, 6 alphabets wala orange, 5, 6 alphabets, 5 minutes, 5 inversions, and I am sorted. Before I end the vacutainer, the last thing that you have to know over here is the order of the blood collection. So if you say that, ma'am, I want to do all these tests, how and in which vacutainer will I add blood first, then second, then third? What is the order that I am considering over here? So please note, I can see first I have put it in the culture bottle. You know what is this yellow? This yellow is basically the culture bottle because first, I want to send the sample to the microbiome lab without contaminating it. So, culture bottle. Sterile. Okay, so sterile matlab, you can also see a mnemonic. I'll come to that mnemonic. After that, you're going to add blood into the light blue. Light blue means coagulation studies, PT, APTT wala studies. Then you're going to add blood in the red and the yellow vacutainers. This means these are all the serum studies that you want to do. Then you're going to add blood in all the green vacutainers, the heparin wala vacutainer. Maybe you want to do ABG analysis. Then you're going to add it in lavender, means the usual tests, CBC, peripheral smear, and so on. And finally, you're going to add it in the gray vacutainer for glucose estimation. But how do I learn this? What, then what, then what? So please note, guys, and be very, very cautious while doing it. What do you see? Do you see a red light over here? Ek ye red color hai. Yes, ma'am, I can see red. And then I can see a yellow also over here. And I can see a green. So, pehle to let's make a red light. I can see red, yellow, and green. So, now let's go back to your school. What does the red light tell you? Red light tells you stop. And green light tells you go. So, if I say the stop light is red, the stop light is red, then comes yellow, then comes green, and the green light says go. The green light is going to say go. So will you be able to learn this so easily? Yes. The stop light is red, then yellow, then green, and the green light says go. This means stop for sterile. First you put it in sterile, then you put it in the light blue vacutainer, then you're going to put it in the red, then in the yellow, then in the green, then finally that lavender. Lavender is good to go because lavender is usual na, good to go matlab it is going to be the grey vacutainer. Easy ho gaya. Sterile, light blue, red, yellow, green, lavender, grey. That is your order of blood collection, and that wraps up your entire story of blood collection and your entire story of vacutainers also. I hope you found this discussion fruitful. This is going to help you in a lot of subjects all over the medical field.